everyone, welcome to today's show on Be Inspired with Mila Bote. My guest today is a seasoned health scientist with over 15 years experience in the oil and gas and banking industry. Also the founder and CEO of Skincare Solution, a African cosmetics brand that produces a line of natural and high-performing bath and body products. What's so inspiring about her journey is the fact that she's able to manage her full-time job and still grow her side hustle called Simply Skincare. Welcome to Tunbosun.
Thank you, Woman.
When I read your biography, I was quite impressed with what you've been able to achieve so far. Can you please tell us about your 9 to 5 job? What does it entail and all that stuff?
Right. So without giving a lot of information, of course, because of confidentiality and of course respecting the company I work for, I work with an oil and gas company. I think one of the top 5 in Nigeria, and I work as an earth scientist. So what does earth scientists do? I guess that's the question on everybody's mind. So an earth scientist is people that you call geologists, people that find oil and gas in the subsurface. So that's a tough job for a 9 to 5 job, but we do it and we enjoy it anyway.
I know. So what is the most important part of your job? What do you really love about your full-time job, being an hair scientist? So what is so interesting about it?
Right. So I like the fact that for me, it's become a profession and a vocation in sense of I do it as a full-time job and I'm also able to replicate the learning from being a geologist into what I like or I enjoy to do. The second part, I guess, is the mystery of how I even got into earth sciences. In the vein of thinking about, I didn't come out to start to be a geologist. I wanted to be a doctor like everybody else, or like most people at the time, and life happened, didn't make the cutoff. And it was geology that was the next fancy course. I didn't like engineering and got into this course, very few girls in the class. So it gave you like, oh, wow, yeah. So the few girls that got into geologists were like, oh, this is the course to do. It made us a bit macho in thinking, but I like it. I like that dynamism geology brings into my life.
Oh, okay. That's so interesting. So how does this, your side business come into play? Is it a passion, being a geologist? I couldn't even try to
reconcile them together.
How did it happen?
Right. So it's interesting the way life, kind of charts our journey. And like people say your dots would definitely connect one time or the other. So I got into skincare randomly. I got into skincare as trying to source for a solution to a problem I had. So I had post-hormonal acne. It was so bad. I didn't have a problem with it because naturally I'm a very confident person. So you wouldn't see me with acne and I'll be looking down. I would still look very like in your face and still express my views. So, but in seeking for help, I found myself at a conference, a natural skincare quote unquote conference, and 2 things struck me. Number one, I was looking for a solution for myself. The second thing was that people were more concerned about myself than myself. Oh. And I explained that. So people were looking at me when I approached them like I need help. I just want to buy stuff to help my face. They had more questions. Are you sure you're fine? How do you feel about your face being like this? And I'm like, I don't feel any different. So I came into SEMC with the perspective to help the African woman to be confident in themselves, regardless of their skin issues. I understand the place of skin. So you find a solution for it, but it doesn't define you. And I guess that's the connection that life brought me in. Now we can use earth sciences because we as a company in SEMC, we focus on using African raw materials sourced from African, the continent. It's different from every other regular business that source their raw material from different places. Ours is focused on how can we use things from Africa, and we've used amazing things. We've used things like kola nuts, we've used things like turmeric. Right. We've used very interesting concepts of bringing what we have in Africa to help people with their skin problem. That's the interesting story about Simpson.
Oh, okay, that's so interesting. So you mean when you talked about your body and then you were like, okay, I need to get something done, and that's how the motivation come into play to help other women?
Yeah, pretty much without trying to be fancy around or I slept and I had a dream. No, that didn't happen. The first was what I said earlier about looking for a solution to my problem. I think the second was really from a business perspective. I'm very entrepreneurial in thinking. Let's not forget that. So it's not that I carved the idea of skincare as part of my entrepreneurial journey. No. I had done a lot of other entrepreneurial stuff that is totally unrelated to skincare. But now my emphasis is on the skincare. That's why now there are no excuses to people who wants to do anything. I was just really surfing the web and I saw like an ad for soap bases. And it I was quite intrigued. Like, what soap bases? What are it? And got the address of where these people were. And we took a 3 hours drive to go visit this facility. And I got there and I practically bought all their shops. Like, I was so excited. I didn't know what the end was, but I was excited about that. And that's how the journey really started for us.
Oh, wow. That's so nice. So, you know, I know that as in having a manufacturing company for like skincare and body bath products, right? So, and then you have your full-time job. How will you be able to manage it?
Right. So, let's take it in perspectives.
Okay.
Running a business isn't hard. Running a business in Nigeria is challenging.
Right.
So I guess we have to think about it in those two dimensions. So running a business is about having a structure to your business. It's about, for me, it started as a moonlighting, really. I was doing it at night after work. So 9 to 5 or 7 to 4 was strictly my job. And then when I go home is when I make my product, is when I formulate, is when I do all of these things. So it's not hard. It just meant that I had to put extra efforts. I had to stretch myself. So instead of sleeping like 9, I'm sleeping at 2, and I'm ensuring that my sleep is deep enough that by the time I'm up by 5 the next day, I am happy and sound. The second perspective is running business in Nigeria is challenging.
Right.
In the sense of things that should be easy become so difficult. Staff, regulatory issues, and all of the in-betweens. I guess that's the one that drives me nuts as a person. Because the business itself, when you think about how to structure it, is easy. You can have plans in your head. Oh, this is what I'm going to do. Then my staff is going to do this. Then I'm going to go to NAFDAC. You know, in all of those things, you can plan that in your head.
But the reality
is so vastly different. And you have to find yourself picking up behind staff or being worried or being, you know, it just doesn't click. That's the difficult part. So how do I manage this? The first thing I did was to be very clear in my mind where each stage. So it meant that when I was at work, I was at work. It was clear in my mind. I pushed all of it behind me. Like, you wouldn't even know that, you know, outside of work, because I show up every day. I do my work like this is the only thing I do. It was the fire in my mind at the time I'm at work. And immediately I get into my car, my mind is so completely switched off and I'm busy with Semsi. So that helped me, the ability to pattern my thoughts in this is work, this is business, you know, to pattern it. The second perspective in managing it is, and I guess this may not apply to a lot of people, but it applies to me, is also seeking opportunities of people who can help you. I'm a proximity-driven person, so I wouldn't have a factory in a 30-minute drive or in a 2 hours drive away from my house, even though I find myself in that situation now. But at that point, my factory was at the back of my house. So even when I finish at work or I'm getting home very late, I can still spend an hour or 2 hours there without, you know, the consciousness of I have to get home early, blah, blah, blah. The kids also were young at the time. So it's in that dimension that I was able to navigate those two together.
So meaning that you kind of stretch yourself, have to walk, you settle up.
Pretty much.
At the back of the house. Yeah. To start the next business.
Yeah. And of course, people also become important. So you realize that for such journeys, you can't do it by yourself.
Oh, absolutely.
So your leave, for example, you have to invest your leave time into that business. It might be the quick time to teach someone what you want them to do while you are not going to be
I think
away.
that will take us to the next question. Before now, we're going to take a short break and then we'll be right back. You stay tuned. For more information about the show and upcoming guests, please go to www.mumielebute.com and remember to subscribe to this channel. You stay tuned and be inspired. Welcome back to the show. My guest is Tunbosun Afolayan, which is telling us about her job and how she'll be able to manage a 9 to 5 schedule and a side hustle. So, Tunbosun, so, a lot of people have issue whereby the company where they work for doesn't give them the opportunity to do any side business. How
Right.
will you be able to do it? Do you, at any point in time, discuss that with your HR, or just tell us about it?
Right. So I guess life is just this way. It's not, there's no flat screen. I don't know though, right, what to use, but there's no flat screen for life. Like there's no general template for life. So what applies to me might not apply to people. So please guys, take this with caution. So I work with an organization that affords people opportunity to do something called flexi. Now, flexi in the term of you can offer to do a part-time kind of working arrangements. You can do like 4 days in a week and take 1 day off. So this was not in existence at the time. So let's start from the beginning. And I wanted to put that perspective. When I joined this oil and gas company, I was doing a full-time job. And I guess for 4 days in a week is also a full-time job if you think about it. The difference was you had to let your intention, if you're running a side business, be known. They call it conflict of interests.
Right.
It may not be conflict because, I mean, what's skincare got to do with oil and gas? But it started from the perspective of if you have a conflict, if you have a business or a relationship or something that may be conflicting with your full-time job, you have to express it. So because there was that caveat for expressing conflict of interest,
right,
I guess it became a lot easier for people to say, I run a vocation, or I have this passion that I pursue, and it became important to also register it. So that caveat was there when I joined. So even when I was into my other entrepreneurial stuff, it was easy to say, hey, company, I still do this by the side. I was not going to do it during your company time, but I still do it. In case, for example, you see me on this kind of show.
Right.
Yeah, you get what I mean? I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about myself. So it doesn't come as a surprise. So that happened at the beginning. Fast forward to now, I guess the digital world and everything changing has made companies and organizations even worse now with the corona. So understand that people are multidimensional these days. And if you want to get the best out of people, especially this young millennial, you've got to allow them to thrive. So in came flexi working. Flexi working is that you can work 4 days in a week instead of 5 full days and take 1 day off. Of course, it's going to be at a price. No company is going to give you that and still pay you your full salary. So you have a decision to make. Do I want to lose a certain percentage of my salary to do stuff for myself? And I've met interesting people who take this without having a side hustle or side business, as we like to call it.
Or to settle down with family.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
All that.
So I know a lot of people who also take this opportunity to spend more time with their kids, to spend more time with their spouse, or to just really be home. For me, in my own case, it is really to be home with the kids, spend more time with my girl and my boy, of course, and also be able to focus on the business.
So meaning that the time that you get from work actually help you to focus more on your side business, which is your skincare products, right? And then, however, had it been they didn't give you that opportunity, will you be able to stay focused on it? Because we have a lot of people that doesn't have this luxury of time also.
Life is about compromises. Yeah? You want to do something and you are not allowed to do it. What then do you do? So the first thing is you check with your company if it is completely against the rule. It's different if it is completely against the rule. If an organization says, don't you ever work. Like, you are just here. When you are here, you are here. Even when you are in a house, we are still the one that owns you. It becomes a different perspective. You can then decide for yourself how you want to navigate out of that water.
Right.
I don't have the full experience for that.
Okay.
But for an organization that offers you the time that you have mortgage, for me, is 7 to a certain time, or 7 to a time that you plan. Anytime I'm in my house, it is my time.
Right.
I've still got that time. I'm still in charge of that time. Anything I want to do, whether it's scuba diving I want to do, or I want to start fishing in ocean, it's my time. That's where the dynamics now comes in. It's now, what do you then do as a person if your organization does not frown at you having a passion that you're pursuing? But I don't want to leave that discussion at that level around the organization, because it is not about the organization. It is about you as a person and what you find fulfillment in.
You know what? You know the reason why I asked that question? Because we have a lot of people. The organization will not tell you not to run your side business, right? But there's some unwritten rules that you can't just do it. You understand? And there's some people find themselves in that kind of situation. That's why I asked you that question.
Unwritten rules are assumptions.
Okay.
I don't do assumptions. So I'm the very clear-minded kind of person that will sit down with my supervisor and check. If he does not have the answer, I will say, can I go to HR? Just so we are clear. So, you know, it's like corridor gist in the office. It really doesn't go far. It may be true, but it really doesn't go far. So now it's about me as a person. So it starts with you as a person in what do you want to do?
Right.
And okay, leave organization because you're all going to retire anyway.
Right.
So that's like a standard. You're going to retire. When you retire, you're going to want to do something else. Okay, that stands. So if you are going to wait till that time, that also exists. Then you can leave corridor gist and enjoy yourself and say, this corridor gist is
and
for
so
me.
that corridor gist sometimes is going.
And that's why I say it's very true. You know, you have to also listen to
You have to listen to understand what is going on.
But if you now take it back to a personal objective, you see, we are all on this earth for various purposes. Whether we have to do a job to achieve that purpose, or we have to sit in a house to achieve the purpose, or we have to really step out of our comfort zone to achieve the purpose. You've got to keep trying. So if your organization does not allow it, you owe yourself to ask yourself certain questions. Are you then going to be very excited at that job that you're doing? Sometimes I question if I run a 9 to 5, like a full-time, now that I have the opportunity, if I'll be so excited of my job. I question it every time. Like, I'm sure it is the one day I take off that just puts me right in the good perspective, or in the happy bright perspective for Monday. I don't see myself being completely, and please organization, this is me being myself. Don't hold this against my promotion and all of that, because I do my job and I earn my rewards and recognition. So this is me being very humane at this point. You've got to like what you do, and you've got to enjoy what you do. At this point in my life, I thoroughly enjoy my job. I thoroughly enjoy SEMC. I would not want to trade either of that and say, oh, then because the organization doesn't like the fact that I'm doing SEMC. The question is, what value do I bring to the organization? The organization hired me to be an earth scientist, not to be a dumb, right? When it comes to earth scientist discussion, do I show up? Do I not show up? You know, so it's that kind of bubbles I like to play up in my mind, such that even when I'm in the organization, I'm putting away all the same distractions. Like, I don't even talk about it. I know this is another level to our conversation, but as a person, I have never sold anything to my colleague.
Wow.
I have never sat any of my colleague down to say, I do this. You probably know it randomly, but you hear it from me, it's a big no. So I bring to the job what the job expects from me. I don't talk about my business on the job. I don't have expectations from my colleague to be my first customers. I don't even have expectations from my family members to be my first customers. Talk less of my colleagues or my friends or my social friends. I don't live life with such expectations.
Do you say that you're just trying to be professional? Because sometimes, you know, you start up a business, you need your family and friends to actually, and then most of us, we spend most of our time on our 9 to 5, right? And then that's what we have.
Right.
Our
so
close
that's
friends.
Great. Okay, so I'm very clear-headed when it comes to friendship, colleagues. I mean, I know that a lot of my colleagues will be like, oh, this girl is going to say this. I outwardly tell my colleague that you are my colleague, you are not my friend.
Oh.
So I'm clear. And the ones that have moved into the friend zone, I tell them, you are my friend. Or I say, you are moving into the friend zone.
Oh, nice.
I'm that clear-headed.
Okay.
And I just want to be very genuine, really, so that you don't second guess me. I don't like to be second guessed. I want you to say, this is what Tunbosun will say in this situation.
Right.
I'm that kind of person. You mentioned that SEMC is an ethical brand. Is that ethic that defines me as a person? And is that same ethic I apply to my work? So my organization has said, even if you have a conflict, even if you're running, whatever it is you're running, do not use office stationaries for it. Do not, use office time to discuss this. Do not market your business in the office. Do not, do not, do not, do not.
Yeah.
You
Meaning
know,
that you stay away from all that.
you just, typically enter the office every day and know that nobody's going to say, hey, that thing I bought from you, because it will kill you. You're just like, oh my goodness, what kind of discussion are we having here? I've had situations where people just randomly get to know that I own the business in the lift, and they go like, oh, you run that business. And I'm like, what business? I switch like, what business? And they go like, oh, is it not you? I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Because we are on the four corners of my organization. We shouldn't be having that discussion. So that's the way it rolls with me. But again, I guess that's the price I have to pay. Because it will also be nice to have my colleagues buying, right? It will be nice to have my friends buying. It will be nice to have, everybody in the world buying. But when it comes to show, I want to be able to stand in front of this organization and say, hey, I did not transact any business on your floor. I did not use any of your stationaries for my business. It's got to be clear. And thankfully, the organizational culture is changing.
Right.
And I'm not going to say it's going to be completely over, that people will be able to say, I do this, I do that, and I still show up at my job. It's never going to happen. It's going to be on this kind of show that we will be able to do that expressions. But if I now switch back to people that have retired, I question the fact that they're all going into a business. And I'm saying, this is the justification. This is why you should allow people this is enough reason for human resources to begin to announce people and say, what would you rather do than this, for example, geologist you're doing? And I say, oh, I probably like to do manufacturing stuff. And then they move me to production department.
For me, I just feel that, like you said, it's actually awareness. Some people are not actually aware that you can actually engage your HR to discuss if you can do flexible work hour and all that. And what's so interesting about what you said is that, there's some thing that you discuss with your boss, and then they will be like, they don't know. You go to the HR. Like, it's not in their law that you try to influence this to make it work for you. And eventually it works for both parties. You're fine. The complaint is fine. That's so nice. So let's now move back to your business. So
that's the interesting part.
I know.
Talk SEMSI.
I know, so what's the favorite part of it for you?
I guess the whole idea of SEMSI and what it has evolved to be. So SEMSI has 4 divisions now. And I'm going to start with the one that, it's in everybody's face. That's the skin solutions.
Right.
That's the one that retail our proof of concepts, and I'll come to that. And then we have an academy where we train people. I'm so super excited to say that we've trained over 40 brands, the art of cosmetic formulation. Then we have the wholesale where we sell raw materials, again, sourced from Africa, and a mix of maybe the ones that you can source from overseas. Then we have the fantastic ideation that we are going through now, which is to build a hub. It's to build a manufacturing hub where, excuse me, small businesses can come into a manufacturing hub and produce their products and then go to market to sell. So we're thinking of a situation where we help small businesses to produce easily, we help them to achieve NAFDAC easily, and we also help African women to be sure that the products that they are getting in the market is safe.
Right.
Because we are going to be running a full manufacturing up end to end, where you can just come, maybe get your raw materials and just run it through our machines. I mean, this is all still in ideation, but we are working so hard at it. We already have a NAFDAC manufacturing hub where we are helping a lot of businesses. I think right now we've done 10 to achieve their NAFDAC. And I think it's just that whole idea that, hey, this impact is big, even though it just started as a problem. Now we're in the solution space and we are helping a lot of people. And I've met so many amazing brands that I would never have met if I was just an earth scientist. So it's that life that brings SEMSI out to be in a unique position. So we are not just retailing cosmetics.
Right.
We are not just retailing skincare products. We are helping Africa and African women to understand that what you source from Africa continent is the best for your skin, number one. Number two is to help businesses like ourselves to not have to invest money in everybody having a manufacturing company everywhere.
Right. So
You may think about it about proliferation of manufacturing hubs. So you have a big standard hub where you just pay, for lack of better word, shikini money to just, very little money, run your products start to finish, and what you're leaving with the hub with is your finished products, bottled, packaged, bam, and you have to go to the market. So if you think about the ease we are bringing into the cosmetic business, it blows my mind away.
I know.
Really, it really does blow my mind.
So, sometimes you start a business, you'll be like, oh my God, is it really what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I actually doing the right thing? Have you ever found yourself in that kind of situation?
Maybe yesterday. Like daily. Life is so transient. Like when I read someone like maybe Steve Jobs or someone like Tara talk about how they still doubt themselves, I just give myself a pat in the back like, girl, you're not doing badly at all.
Right.
You always second guess yourself. You always find yourself, like even if it's, so when I read bios and I hear someone like maybe Michelle, when she came out with Becoming, her first night out of the White House was so surreal for her. You see, I understood it. A lot of people would have felt that the night would have been different, but she said she was alone in the house. She was second-guessing herself. So I second-guess myself every day. Like even sometimes when I'm driving to the hub now, I'm like, oh my goodness, is this even worth it?
I know, right?
Like, what are we even here for? And especially when people now come back and say, your product did this to me. I'm like, okay, it might be 1 out of 100, but you can be sure that 1 out of 100 is enough to break your spirit.
So
even
how will you be able to how will you be able to push forward, hearing all that, and then,
These days, initially I just, if you had asked me this question, like when I started, I'll just say, oh, it's your idea. You just push forward and all that. But these days, what I have found works for me is to push forward is I always check my ideas with people, random people I don't know. So I sign up for courses like, even the stuff that I know, I just sign up and I make a connection with maybe the person that is teaching. And I just go like, this is what I'm doing. Does it make sense to you as a coach or as a mentor? And they go like, oh, yes, it's so fantastic. So you go home with, okay, it's not that bad. I have a mentor that I recently finished a session we had, and it's interesting we're talking about it. And the first discussion we were having, I was so unsure of myself, I was crying. That's as recent as maybe less than a month ago. I was so unsure of my purpose, I was crying. And she was like, okay, babe, you're making me cry. What's going on with you? And I said, every day I wake up, sometimes I feel like I'm just totally useless to this life. And she was like, no, think about what you're doing. And I'm like, I think about it every day, but I still feel useless. So you would always second guess yourself. So you need those kind of people. Then she will now prop you up and say, I see you as this. I even see you as MD of the oil and gas company.
Oh,
so,
nice.
So you need those people. You need the support system. You need, I don't want to sound like chivalry. You need a good partner. It's, make it work, make it happen that period. But your support system is big. People who you can go and cry on, people who can say, I feel so useless today.
This is becoming so interesting, but we have to go on a short break right now, and we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back on Be Inspired with Umele. I'm still here with my guest, Tunbosun Afolayan. She's talking about how she started her business and how she was able to manage a 9-to-5 and still follow her side hustle. So Tunbosun, a lot of people, when you started a business, you look for somebody that's in that line, that kind of advise you, like a mentor, and the kind of guide you through the process. At any point, do you have anyone, and then how was the experience?
In the business, like in the industry?
Yeah, in the industry.
No, I don't have.
Oh.
What I've done is maybe they don't even know that I'm following them, but I'm following them anyway. I'm learning from their story, but I don't have a personal relationship with someone like Tara. I don't have a personal relationship with anybody that does what? Cosmetic business in Nigeria will be PZ and all of that. I don't. but I have someone or I have people who are in manufacturing. So I chase after, if you see me doing a course, I chase after, okay, can you attach me to a mentor who is in manufacturing? I just realized that manufacturing is so systemic that you can learn from how to manufacture TV to how to manufacture candles, for example. So I guess that's where I will leave it. I don't have someone. And please, if you want to be my mentor, I'm totally here. I'm very mentorable. So if you want to be my mentor and you're in cosmetic industry, Tara, maybe. I don't know. But I'm very open to it. I don't shy away from people teaching me because I also bring a lot to the table.
Right. You give me, I give you something
yes,
back.
I'm so valuable, you know.
Oh,
So
nice. So, it's so interesting the way you're talking. You really love what you do. You
I think
put
so.
so
I
much
love
energy,
it.
passion, and all that. A lot of people have tried. I'm sure our viewers is all about how to manage your 9 to 5 and still follow your passion. And they did. Like the drive for me is just to follow what you love to do. I know a lot of people have tried 1 or 2 businesses before they now like, okay, this is it for me. So for you, how will you be able to like, this is it for me? And also, have you tried something that you thought that this is my business, this is me, this is my passion, and the God has given me, the way we talk, like, this is what I love to do, and eventually you did it, and then you find out that it wasn't what you really wanted, and then now, so do you have that experience previously?
Yes. I didn't wake up to be thinking I can make cream. I learned it. But one thing I know I love to do, and I know that this is probably where it connects for me, is that I love to help people to be confident.
I
So,
know. So I think you have a lot of talents, like you can do a whole lot. And then the driver, you love it, you go for it. And then if I say you
I
should
beg
be
to
here till
differ.
tomorrow, we'll keep on talking
Right.
about it.
Yeah.
And then what's your final word for people that are trying to do the same thing, like, to manage a 9 to 5? Because you quite said a lot.
A lot. Yeah.
But what is your final word for them?
Whatever your hand finds to do, just do it very well. Like, do it excellently well. Ask questions. Challenge status quo. Your supervisor is your supervisor, but you can have conversations. You can bring him, okay, I want to see you.
They're human.
And they are human. So treat these people as humans. Have conversations with them. And really, every time you're doing something, just enjoy it, even if it's for a short ride.
That's the way I'm enjoying this moment.
Just enjoy it. Right.
Thank you so much for coming to this show. I
Thank you,
really
Omi.
enjoy every damn word that you just mentioned. And
Thank you.
I'm sure our viewer actually will pick 1 or 2 things from what Tunbosun said about her job and then her side business. You stay tuned and then see us next time on Be Inspired with Milabute. Thank you for watching, and I believe you're inspired by Tunbosun's journey on how she was able to juggle between her full-time job and her side business. She was looking for a solution to a problem, then she created a product. How amazing is that? One thing you should remember is that you can do anything. You just have to look within. Are you finding it difficult to find your passion, or you're struggling with what you're really passionate about? As part of our vision to provide our viewer free tools and resources to achieve their life purpose, please use the free questionnaire link below to find your passion. It is absolutely free. Research shows that when you live your passion, you're adding 8 hours of joy to your life. The more we live our passion, the more energy and enthusiasm we bring into our life. You just have to answer the question to the best of your knowledge, and I believe it will navigate you to exactly what your passions are. You don't really need to share with anyone or with me. What you just need is just to have to be truthful to yourself. You have to answer the question. It could take you 2 days, but you should be consistent with your questions. If you find it so helpful, please send out an email or drop a comment in the comment section. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time on Be Inspired with me, Elebute, and have a good one.